There's a lot of checks that you should do when buying a car, because obviously you're parting with a huge amount of your money, and you want to make sure that the car you buy is going to be safe, first of all, it's going to be roadworthy as well, and then it's going to last as long as you anticipate. The first thing that you should do is find out as much information as you can about the history of the car. You want to make sure that it's not under a finance agreement with the person that you're buying it from. So there are websites that you can check, so you just enter the registration of the vehicle and it'll tell you whether there's an outstanding finance agreement on the car, because if there is, that car does not belong to the person who's trying to sell it to you. And if you buy it, you could find yourself in a situation where you've lost your money and the car could be taken back by the finance house. So it's a very important check. If you are buying a car and you maybe don't know much about cars, like most people don't know about cars, you could consider getting somebody to check it out, whether you might have a friend or family member who's a qualified mechanic, or you might decide to pay a mechanic to independently check the car for you. Obviously, if you're buying a car that's quite expensive, that might be something that you should strongly consider. Things that you should look out for if you're buying a second-hand car would be wear and tear in relation to certain parts of the interior. So a car that has a lot of wear and tear on the upholstery, or maybe around the gear stick or on the clutch, can indicate that the car has had a lot of use. And that can be important in terms of gauging whether the actual mileage looks to be realistic on the car. If you want to buy a second-hand car, your two main options are to buy from another consumer, so a private sale, or to buy from a trader, which would be a garage. It's very important to know that if you buy from another individual, you don't have consumer rights, because consumer rights legislation only covers transactions between a business and a consumer. Again, this is really important if you're buying a second-hand car, to get as much information as you can about the history. And on our website, ccpc.ie, there's a car buyer's checklist that you can print off and bring to the garage with you. And that checklist forces you to ask the garage certain questions, like what the mileage is, whether the car has ever been crashed, and you can ask the garage to actually verify the information and sign it and say that it's true. Because under consumer protection law, if a garage gives you misleading information in relation to a car, which could include whether or not it's ever been crashed or whether it's been clocked, that is an offence under the Consumer Protection Act, and you can contact us in relation to that matter. So regardless of whether you're buying from an individual or from a trader, you need to get as much information. So every piece of paper in relation to the car, so copies of all the NCTs, the service history, the logbook. Also ask whether or not it was imported. And if it was imported, you should ask for the previous registration so that you can check maybe in the UK about the history of the car. There are also websites that you can use. So for a small fee, you can input the registration of the car and find out information about it.